Federal funding has allowed some employers to reopen their businesses and begin hiring again. In May, the U.S. economy created 559,000 jobs, and the unemployment rate fell to 5.8%. And as some Americans return to work, those who are looking for other opportunities are having trouble finding them. For more on this, let's bring in LeVar Bland and Karen Kimbrough. LeVar is a North American CEO of Candidate, a headhunting company, and Karen is LinkedIn's chief economist. Thank you both for being here. Karen, I'm going to start with you. The recent jobs report shows an economy that's on the mend, but we're still seeing people out of work and employers saying that they can't find people to fill their job postings. What's at the root of this problem, and how long do you expect it to last?
No, I think that it's absolutely the case that we've seen a surge in employers looking to bring on new workers, and at the same time that maybe the job seekers haven't responded at the same pace. I don't think there's a shortage of workers. I think that workers are still navigating a lot of the after effects of the shutdown. They may not have kids back in school full time. They may not have childcare, elder care. And the wages that are being offered may not be compelling enough, given the risk they may feel they're still taking or the fact they still have to pay for childcare. So a lot of factors are really creating what I would call almost a friction in the labor market, not a shortage of workers. The workers are there and the jobs are there. It's just going to take a little time for everyone to kind of match up at the right wage, or if you will, the price for supply and demand.
That's interesting. LeVar, some people who are looking for jobs now were laid off during the pandemic. Others may have left their jobs to change career paths. How much of an impact does their unemployment status have on the hiring process? And what are your suggestions to those job seekers?
The workers are there. Like, people are looking for employment. So at the end of the day, I think it's more so a matter of, are employers offering the right type of salary? Are they offering the right price, as Karen mentioned, right, to bring these workers back in to roles that they believe they should be compensated for? It's just a matter of time in regards to, everyone getting back to a place of normalcy. And I think we're almost there.
What I'm hearing from both of you is that job seekers right now can afford to be choosy, even if they have had a long period of unemployment. And that's not really what we've experienced in the past. But this is such a different time period that your advice is actually to take your time and find the right job for you, rather than be concerned about finding the first employer who will have you.
I would definitely say that is part of the equation. I think there's always a negotiation or a power dynamic between employers and employees. And it is definitely the case that it might have tilted a bit in favor of the employees at this moment, because we're seeing this surge of job openings in search of workers. And we're seeing it across lots of different industries, but in particular industries where people might be being asked to take on a face-to-face contact, and they may not yet be fully vaccinated. Remember, it takes some time to get through those 2 shots and then have a few weeks after that to be fully vaccinated. They may not have, opportunities to get the wage they need to make it all worthwhile. I think that the demand for workers and the supply of workers, they're there. We see it on our platform. We have millions of jobs available, everything from entry-level grads positions who are just out of college to much more senior and advanced technical skills. So the jobs are absolutely there, and the national data confirm it.
Yeah.
So here's another question for the two of you. A survey conducted by Prudential Financial back in April found that 26% of participants plan to look for new employment opportunities once the pandemic subsides. What are the advantages or pitfalls of trying to change careers at this time? Karen, why don't you start off?
Sure. So I would say we're seeing the same thing in our data. When we survey our workers, our members, they are absolutely signaling that while they may have been sort of sheltering in place in their job during the pandemic, they're now considering switching. 63% of them say we're open to the idea of switching our industry or our job function. And what I would say to that is that's absolutely normal in a time of upheaval to have people start to evaluate what their options are. So we should expect a lot of reshuffling, as our CEO likes to say, of the job market as people move around. But I also think that what's really important is that as people make transitions, and this is key, when people make transitions in their careers, it doesn't have to be painful. And it can be really painful when you're unemployed trying to find a job. It can be less painful when you have lots of options. What makes that transition easiest? It's having skills, almost like a currency that lets you move around your jobs marketplace and apply for different jobs because you have the right skills employers are looking for.
What else would you suggest for people who are watching right now who feel like this is an opportunity to do something else that I want to do with my life? What concrete advice do you give them?
I think it's about your network as well. I think it's about your alumni, going back to your college days. I think it's about, the folks in your network who are mentors. And I think it's about looking into that kind of networking that allows you to really take that next step forward. And I think that's what people are doing right now. They're looking at, like, how do we become, what we believe we are, honestly. And it's like, and I say it in the sense of, this last year has made people really think about the paths they're taking in regards to any organization they're with. And now they're rethinking the direction they're going. And you might go into a different direction with an organization that makes it more difficult for you to climb that ladder. But you know what? That may be the smart path for you.
Karen, I know you're eager to get in on this, and I'm going to give you another question to help frame this a little bit. In addition to what you want to add to what LeVar just said, it sounds like employers actually need to be thinking about how they're attracting people, that job culture, especially for jobs that may be considered less appealing post-pandemic. So not only, I want to give you the opportunity, of course, to respond to what LeVar just said, but also if you're coming at this from the employer's perspective, what should you be doing?
In terms of what employers can do, I think employers are realizing that the sands have shifted just a little bit at this moment in time. And I think one of the things they're trying to do is they're very focused on diversity and inclusion efforts of trying to really cast that broad net to get as many people as possible to apply, not ruling things out or candidates out automatically by saying you have to have this job, this degree as a prerequisite. So they're starting to change the way they look at hiring in terms of willing to consider flexibility in terms of scheduling, willing to consider hybrid work where you might work part-time remotely, part-time in the office. They're willing to consider different aspects of how they interview you. And so what I mean by that is, for example, looking for what skills you can demonstrate as opposed to expecting you to have a certain number of degrees from certain schools. They're much more open to looking for a viable candidate who can demonstrate the skills as opposed to just checking boxes.
LeVar, I'm going to ask you, with so many people searching for a job at the same time, what's one thing that our viewers can do to really stand out?
I think people need to be excited about coming back to work. Being out of work for as long as many folks have been out of work, they got to be excited about coming back. So you should have some excitement about what you're doing and how you're doing it and the culture and how you're going to be a part of it. And that's just an important piece of all this right now. And I'll say it again, I think it's important to really connect with your network, get a feel for what they think about you and what you should be doing and how you should be doing it, because I think we've lost that.
All right, Karen, last question is going to be going over to you. So when you're looking at the trends in the nation's economy, and particularly when people are thinking about switching jobs and making a new career path for themselves, which industries are doing the most hiring? Where would you suggest people look as growth opportunities are emerging?
Sure. So right now what we're seeing is most industries are hiring now. Since the beginning of the year, it really has been a shift in the winds where, job openings are being added to our platform. That's what we see across all industries. Some industries are playing catch up though. So in the short run, what I'm saying is I'm seeing a lot of jobs being added in accommodation, food services, entertainment, travel, those industries which have been lagging so badly last year because of the pandemic are really coming back strong. But there's a longer term perspective I want to add here, which is that we're seeing consistently lots of jobs being added in spaces where it has to do with technology, with online content, online marketing, online editing, anything related to that virtual experience. If it's online shopping, that's where a lot of the jobs are being added.
All right. Such an empowering conversation, guys. LeVar Bland, Karen Kimbrough, thank you both for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.